The 25th Hour Radio Show. I want to welcome everyone to the 25th Hour Radio Show. I am your host, Rob Fairless, and on the phone with me today I have hip-hop artist Todd Thomas, but possibly better known to the world as Speech from the Grammy Award-winning group Arrested Development. Speech, thank you so much for joining me on the show today.
Man, I'm in trouble. Whenever I hear Todd Thomas, that's my mom and dad calling me. I've done something wrong. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. So let's get right into it. Back when you were younger and you had the opportunity to steer the wheel of life in any direction you wanted, what influenced you to take the road that led to a life of music and entertainment, and more specifically, hip-hop?
Well, there's a few things. One was Michael Jackson, back when I was probably 7 or 8, that he inspired me. And then when I was around 13, Grandmaster Flash, on the Wheels of Steel, turntables, DJs, they inspired me. And that got me specifically into hip-hop, because I knew when I heard hip-hop, I was like, this right here has just blown my mind. And so that I knew I wanted to do it.
Now, were you an all or nothing type person back then? Did you have a backup plan just in case the music career didn't, pan out for you?
I did, yeah. My mom and dad were big on that, and it was teaching. I wanted to either do music or be a teacher.
So in an alternate universe, Todd Thomas could be working as a teacher. Is that what you're saying?
Exactly right. Yeah. And even in this universe, somehow I sort of like a teacher to some extent. You know what I mean? Like, I like to share information.
Now, was your mother and father all for you taking that route towards music?
Yeah, they were. My mom and dad were very supportive, which I'm very happy about, grateful for. Because my mom, I would get slack from my teachers, and she would fight for me. She'd send me, but I would bring boom boxes to school, and I was always a little twisted. I wear pajamas in the public and to school, and just doing things that normally frowned upon, and she knew that something was there.
Yeah, man, there's nothing that beats the love a mother has for her child, that's for sure. So as far as your group, Arrested Development, is concerned, I always see the band labeled as alternative hip-hop in print when I'm reading something about you guys. First of all, do you agree with that label?
I don't. I've never liked it. The reason is it suggests that it's some type of other version of hip-hop as opposed to hip-hop. I grew up in an era where hip-hop was everything from Africa Bambaataa and the Soul Sonic Force, Planet Rock, to Run DMC. And so all of that and everything in between was hip-hop. There's a lot of different styles of it. It was more of electro style of hip-hop, which was the Soul Sonic Force and the Planet Rock type of thing. There was the more sort of New York style of hip-hop, which was Run DMC. But then you also had, people like Two Live Crew, and that was the Miami-based style, and L.A., which was a different style. So, Planet Patrol, which was more electro style. All of this stuff was hip-hop, and I loved it, and it was part of the culture. So breakdancing, graffiti, beatboxing, DJing, MCing, all of these things were part of this hip-hop culture. So to call us alternatives to me wasn't necessary. It's just we do understand that we were pushing the boundaries of what was presently hot at the time. But other than that, we wanted to remain part of that hip-hop, foundation.
Now, from the band's inception, was the focus to bring a positive message to your audience at the forefront, or did that evolve over time in like your band practices and brainstorming within the group?
It really was both. It was right at the beginning when I really started Arrested Development proper. It was all about trying to change the situation of Arrested Development in the Black community and in the world. A lot of stagnant thinking, a lot of stagnant philosophies, and the music was meant to change that. But prior to us being called Arrested Development, man, the same, like me, headliners, some other members that didn't make it to the new version of what we were going to become, which was Arrested Development, we were doing gangster stuff. We were doing songs like Gone Hollywood, which was a song talking about a woman who was stuck up, and we had songs, that was, one called Capital Drive was talking about a woman who was really loose and having sex with everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And these were earlier stages of Arrested Development that never would make it to what Arrested Development was meant to be. And I'm glad, we were trying to be other people, not that the stories we wrote about were lies to us, but we were influenced by Run DMC or LL Cool J or Public Enemy, a lot of people, and so we were really basically trying to be similar to them instead of being ourselves.
And when you finally became yourself, the message resonated with people all over the world and was proven right with the record sales, the Grammy Award, the awards, the honor of being Band of the Year by Rolling Stone magazine. And my question here is, was your success during that period surprising to you because you were going against the grain?
It was very surprising, and yet it was the dream. So I'll put it this way. The dream was never as big as we actually got. So even in our dream, we wanted to be respected by our peers. We wanted to be noted as a disruptor in the hip-hop world. Like, wow, look at what these guys are doing. It's so fresh. It's so unique. We wanted that. But we never dreamt that we would win Grammys and be Band of the Year or top 100 bands of all time and songs of all time. And none of these things we didn't even imagine that.
Now, since you and the band reached that pinnacle, as far as awards are concerned, was there a huge weight on each one of you in the band to maintain that level of success? I mean, I can imagine once you reach the top, you don't want to drop,
It was, I can't speak for every member, but for me, it was extremely hard because I'm the producer of the group. I write the lyrics for the group. So for me, I was young. I was getting comparisons from other people of like the new Bob Marley, which is obviously ridiculously legendary. There's big shoes to fill, and
yeah.
big shoes to fill for someone who, just didn't know a lot about the industry. It's very new. So yeah, it was very, very hard, very pressure filled. And not to mention we were learning so much. The learning curve was so new. If we had a number of albums prior to our debut and they had all done sort of well, and then maybe 3 years, 5 months, 2 days in the life of was just our biggest one, then it would have been different because we would have learned a lot about the industry, understood the ropes, and known how to navigate into this new world. Whereas for us, it was 100% unique and foreign at the time. So it's very tough to do all of that, plus make sure you're coming up with as creative and as amazing as music as you possibly can.
Yeah, now, what's cool is you've been able to maintain your love of music and performing, through all these years, and you're still able to make a career out of doing what you love. And as a matter of fact, the band has 2 new albums out right now, changing the narrative, and this was Never Home. How did it come to be that you had 2 albums to be released at the same time?
Well, it was a few factors. One is we had been sitting on a lot of material. We've been recording for the last 4 or 5 years or so. And we were waiting because the music industry sales were extremely low. And we knew that the music industry was broken. And we didn't want to just release music to no effect. And so the goal was to wait until some things sort of settled. It's almost like getting a new computer and you're waiting for the new, iOS to come out to fix the bugs. And it didn't happen. So we said, you know what, we're just sitting on this material. Let's make sure to release it. And at the same time, of course, we recorded a lot of stuff that was extremely new. And we mixed it together. So that's what allowed for 30 new songs to get into the marketplace from us right now. One album was free, and that's because we sampled a lot. My favorite love of hip-hop is sampling. I love it. I think it's brilliant. I think there's a deep art to it. So I wanted to sample. I wanted that creativity to flow in that way. And changing the narrative is 100% that type of technique. And then at the same time, we had another way of approaching music, which This Was Never Home, was that approach, which was more, okay, let's do beats, let's do synths and synthesizers, and let's take it that route. And we did both, and we released both, and that was sort of the plan, was to try to flood the market with new material and let people know we're still here.
Now, when we were young men, and I can say that, man, because we're about the same age, all right?
Okay.
We didn't have the technology that's available today. Do you like the instant feedback you can get with social media, and are you getting that type of feedback on these albums?
The feedback we've gotten has been amazing. Nothing short of amazing. It's been awe-inspiring. People are talking about this music like they did our first album. Just so inspired by it, so inspiring and a breath of fresh air to the fans, and so that moves us a lot. And at the same time, no, I actually appreciate the older days as far as releasing music better, because there was more of a respect for the music, and today I think it's more cheap, where people don't even tend to know the titles of songs anymore. They are rare to know who produced anything, who wrote on it, any details about it. So things have become a lot more disposable. Mm-hmm. And I don't care who the artist is. I'm not saying that just for Arrested Development's music. Pretty much across the board. So I think it's a lot less of an experience when people are into a record as it used to be.
So are you guys and gals out touring right now to promote the album, or do you have some dates coming up to tour in the near future?
Yeah, we do. In fact, go to the website, aztheband.com, and you'll see our upcoming shows. We got some shows in the States. We've got shows coming up in the UK, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Canada. So I'm probably missing a couple places, but we have some really, really fun shows. In fact, in Atlanta, we have Tunes from the Tombs, which is a cemetery show, and that's a first. So, yeah, very exciting.
And also, I'm curious, this is for myself, didn't you just do a TED Talk?
I did. Yeah, I did a TED Talk, and it was called Sacred Serial Number, and it's just talking about the human spirit. Now,
is that going to be available? Is that on YouTube right now? Can anyone watch that? Because I've been really interested in watching that.
Definitely. I appreciate it. Yeah, you can get on YouTube right now. You can go to our website. It's under our news section, and you can also see it right there.
Cool, man. And before we wrap this up, I want to say one more thing. You gave a great testament to Atlanta Magazine on the type of person Prince was. That was just a few days ago on the 21st. I want everyone who hasn't read it to go to either Speech's Facebook page or atlantamagazine.com and read this article. It's just another eye-opener to the type of person Prince Rogers Nelson was. All I can say, it was a great article, man, and I learned a lot by reading it.
Yeah, I mean, Prince, as I said in that article, brother, he literally is my favorite artist of all time. And the world has lost a great, great, great inspiration. But on the flip side, on the positive side, the world has seen a great inspiration musically. And it won't be one like him anytime coming soon, because it's just that rare. I'm very grateful to have been alive during the times when he created, and I'm inspired to this day, and even maybe more so now that he's passed away, than I ever was by his music, and I want to do it better as a musician myself because of him.
Well, Speech, man, thank you once again for taking a few minutes out of your day to join me on the show. It's been my pleasure speaking with you.
My pleasure too, brother. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
The 25th Hour Radio Show.